Hey guys, it's Brant,
Steven?
and we're back with Song Exchange episode number 7. Going to get right into it.
Yep.
Put those headphones on. He's first.
No.
So I got a little treat for him. I've got several, actually. I don't know which one I want to do, but I think I'm going to break. Well, I'll tell
Don't
you.
give me any hints.
I'll tell you.
Don't give me any hints.
Okay, this is Chris Stapleton, and he is a country artist. Um, I used to not be a big fan of country. For the longest time, I wasn't a fan of country. But I appreciate good music. And although there's a bunch of crap in country, there is some good music in country. And I really appreciate somebody that's a good songwriter who writes their own songs in country. It doesn't happen very often. But this is Chris Stapleton, and he's listening to Chris Stapleton, and it's called Whiskey and You.
Times I wonder if they ain't both the same. One's a liar that helps to hide me from my pain, and one's a long gone bitter truth. That's the difference between whiskey and you.
And Chris writes his own songs, plays his own songs, sings his own songs. He's kind of, I admire him kind of like in the way I admire Brad Paisley. Brad Paisley writes his own songs. He's a phenomenal guitarist, a phenomenal lead guitarist. This is not a lot of people's cup of tea. Most people who are metalheads or 80s bros or whatever, most of you probably watching this video, you may not like Chris Stapleton, but this is a really good song. It's one of those songs that kind of tears at you a little bit, and it's one that I definitely encourage you to take a listen to. The links is down in the description, and just take a listen to it. And if you like this song, leave a comment. Let me know. All right? We'll see what he says when it gets done.
Just making sure it wasn't going to come back in with some blast beats or something.
No. When he's done, he's done. So, do you have any idea who that is?
That is Whisking You by Christopher Stapleton.
So you know that song.
I do.
You do know that song, okay?
You know who my wife is.
Right.
She loves country music.
Right.
So
what do you think of that song?
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
The guitar is recorded like you're sitting in front of it.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're just sitting. It sounds like
he's sitting right here
because you hear the off his lips and everything.
Yeah, and it sounds like it almost sounds like you're in a bathroom with, well, not quite that much reverb, but
a room with no furniture.
Room with no furniture, and it sounds like he's literally sitting right in front of you. You hear his fingers moving up and down the neck. You hear his fingers on the strings.
Yeah.
And like you said, you hear him breathing. You hear the breathing, taking a breath and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's probably off his album. My wife, is a big country fan too.
Yeah.
And I was telling him that I won't consider myself a country fan.
That's not a country song. That's just a great song.
That's a great song. But I like Chris Stapleton because he writes his songs. Kind of like I like Brad Paisley.
I was literally about to say, I'm like there's a lot of similarities between him and Brad Paisley.
Brad Paisley, he's a phenomenal guitarist.
He's baller.
He is.
I just used a weird word for country music.
But he is.
But yeah, he is great.
So that song to me is a 10. I mean, that song to me is a perfect song. It is perfect recording, perfect execution, perfect performance. His voice, you can definitely tell he's feeling what he's singing.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those songs, if you really listen to it, it just kind of sucks you in, and you're like, oh, shit.
When it started, I mean, I didn't say whoa when it started because I recognized it immediately.
Right.
I said whoa because it was just like the clarity is there.
Right.
It's recorded so well.
Right. Hmm. So to me, that's a 10. What do you rate that song?
I don't think I'd go 10 on it because I can definitely think of songs that I would like listen to over that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a great song and by a very extremely talented artist.
Right.
So I'm going hard 9.
Right. Okay. That I scored that at 10 because if somebody said, okay, Detroit Rock City
Mhm.
or one of my Typo Negative songs, I score 10s on,
Mhm.
or Whiskey and You,
Mhm.
Chris Stapleton. One of these things is not like the other. Well, but
Actually, none
of those are like the other. None of them are like the other. But all those are 3 equally loved songs by me. You know, even though Detroit Rock City's been with me for over 40 years, 41 years now, and Typo Negative, some of those songs have only been with me for the last 20. And that was
maybe that's a story for another time.
Okay. All right. So I guess it's my turn to listen.
Your turn.
So
I'll put my music player. All right.
All right. Here we go. Going under the hoodies.
Here we go.
Get them in right. Get them the left on the left and the right on the right.
Because we get seasick otherwise. Because we know what's supposed to be where.
I'm ready to ride.
All right. So we have another instrumental entry from my dad. This track isn't too long. It's about 3 minutes. It's called Siggy Pop. It's off of my absolute favorite guitarist's new solo album, Rabea Massaad. The EP is Grinding Gears. So a bit of a trivia about this album. This album actually wasn't supposed to be Rabea being the YouTube personality that he is. He does a lot of product demonstrations, but he writes fully mixed and produced songs for these for the products. So basically, he got a request from a bunch of fans saying, "Hey, will you take the awesome tracks that you produce for your product demos, and just make them into an album?" And he was like, "Would you guys really want that?" And everyone was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so he took all the songs, or not all the songs, he took about 12 songs from product demos that he had wrote that he considered his favorites and made them into an EP. And what I like about it is he put it up on Bandcamp for free. So you're not paying anything for it, but you can pay if you want. I chose to buy it because he's just a musician that I absolutely love. He has such an interesting way with working with chord structures and melodies, and everything about his playing is what I would love to be one day. This album is entirely self-produced, all by him. He plays the bass, the guitar, the drums. He mixes it all himself with all his own stuff in his own house. And beside all that, he just seems like a really solid guy. And I'd love to meet him someday because he just kind of is my biggest idol when it comes to guitar. But as we all know, this is an instrumental. And even if it's only 3 minutes, he's going to think it's like 15 minutes. So I don't expect anything higher than a 5 or 6 on this. I would definitely give this song and most of this album a 10 because I love Rabea. I love his playing. What more can I say? But that's what I think. We'll see what he thinks in about a minute.
Okay.
All right.
Faked me out on that one. I kept waiting on a singer to come in.
I got it.
Kept waiting on a singer to come in. At first I thought Pillar, or because it had a very Pillar-ish sound to it. But then when the singer never came in, then I started making up. Then I do this on a lot of.
You start making up words or vocal melodies.
It's kind of embarrassing, but I start singing words in my head, and I start making up. I start making up songs and making up lyrics in my head, and I sit there about halfway through it when it went into the solo. I'm like, well, a singer is never going to come in, and This is an instrumental, and but it, the guitars were really loud compared to how loud the bass, how loud the drums were. The drums seemed really back in the background to me, and the snare sounded. The overall song, except for some of the guitar licks that they had coming in, didn't have a crispness to it. Kind of muted a little bit on the upper freaks, but they had some licks come in, and you heard the upper register, upper frequencies in those. But the snare sounded a little flat, and the bass drum wasn't quite as punchy as I would have liked for it to be.
Do you believe that's intentional?
I think maybe it could be, because I mean, for everything else to be mixed as well as it was, it could be that they meant for it to sound that way. I mean, because sometimes you say, well, the snare sounds like paper to me. Well, and then you run into somebody from the band. They're like, well, yeah, that's how we wanted it to sound. Or the guitars sound tinny. Well, that's how we wanted them to sound. So I mean, that's the style that they recorded it in and everything. I just thought that the guitars were, because the guitars are like in your face, and it's like the drums are back here somewhere. Like, hey. And the guitars are like here, and the drums are like, hey, ooh, back here.
Yeah, they're probably even further.
Yeah, it's like way back here. Hey, it's like, hey, guitar and drums. Hi, drums back here. So, but no, but yeah. So who is that?
Do you want to take any guesses? I mean, I know that like I said, these songs can be called anything. They could be by any band, artist.
No, I have no clue.
Okay, so that song is called Siggy Pop.
Okay, Siggy Pop. Okay.
And it's by Rabea Massaad, which is the lead guitar player for Tosca.
Okay.
He put out a solo album.
Okay. So, which is why the guitar is so predominant. Sorry if you hear a baby. We're not killing a baby in the other room.
No.
It's probably my grandson, not your son, but my grandson. So, yeah, if you hear it in the recording, we're sorry.
Yeah. Apologies.
We have to record whenever we get the chance to, and sometimes there's crying babies in the next room. But anyway.
So, the reason I was setting you up with the do you think it's intentional? Because that album is entirely composed of product demos. That's a product demo of pickups for guitar.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So basically, the story is, you can cut this if you want.
Okay.
Okay. The story is, so he went to NAMM in January, which, do you know what NAMM is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he went to NAMM, and a bunch of his fans went up and said, hey, we love all the music you put, all the effort and stuff that you're putting into your product demos. Could you put them on an album? And he was like, well, yeah, I guess I can. And he has it up on Bandcamp. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose to pay for it if you like. I chose to buy it because Rabea is my absolute, no question, without a doubt, my favorite guitarist in the history of mankind.
Mm-hmm.
So that entire album is comprised of product demos.
Okay. So the drums were probably an afterthought.
Yeah, but he produces all the tracks himself.
Mm-hmm.
He mixes them all himself. He writes them all himself. He does play drums on them. I've seen stuff. He doesn't, track drums in a DAW. He actually does play the drums for it.
Okay.
And he does play the bass for it.
Okay.
So that album is entirely self-produced by one guy.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I respect the musicianship. That's why, even though instrumentals aren't my thing, I still have a really hard time scoring them low, just because I respect the musicianship and everything. But at the same time, like I've said before in past videos, that's not a song I'm going to go looking for. Or I'm not going to go reaching. If I had 5 CDs laying on the table, and the only way that one might, if each CD had just one song on it, the only way that one might get picked up from me is if the other one is like, the other 4 are like Strange Ways, Love Theme from Kiss, Then She Kissed Me, some of the songs off of Peter's solo album. And, this instrumental here, I'll listen to it, you know. So, like I said, given that, since I score a lot of those songs, 3s and 4s and 1s, I can't really score at that. So I would say it's probably, I really enjoyed it. I like the groove of it. I guess me being a drummer, I really listen to the tracking of drums.
Yeah.
And everything. And so when something doesn't really exactly, not if it doesn't, I'm saying it doesn't necessarily have to be recorded in the way I like for drums to be recorded. But if I feel like they're recorded in a way that doesn't match the rest of the song, even if it's intentional, it
bugs you.
It takes a little from the song for me. So having said all that, I would probably score that 6.
Wow, that's gracious from you on an instrumental. The first thing I said was, "Well, guys, I'm hitting with another instrumental." I don't know if he's just trying to like feed me it, or if he's keeps saying that he doesn't like instrumentals to make me stop playing them.
No, you can keep playing all the instrumentals you want.
Okay.
But
I wasn't going to stop him.
But you might maybe one needle in a haystack get above a 6.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to really like that instrumental to get a 7, 8, 9, 10, especially an 8, 9, or a 10.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll ever score an instrumental a 9 or a 10. 7 might be the highest.
How long do you think that song was?
It felt short, like maybe 3 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that. It felt short.
It's 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah. Then it felt longer than it was.
That's how you always respond to instrumentals, though, because when I played the first Animals Leaders songs, you're like, man, that had to be the longest song out of we recorded the first 3 in one session.
Yeah.
That we got together, and you're like, man, that one had to be the longest. I'm like, that was actually the shortest of the 3. One of them was 8 minutes long, and you thought that the Animals Leaders was longer than that one.
Yeah, so. Wasn't the 8-minute long one. Which one was it? Was it the Night Wish?
Night Wish.
Yeah, and I wish that song hadn't stopped.
Yeah,
because I was just enjoying myself on that one. Yeah, you can play another Night Wish song for me anytime you want to.
I might play one with one of their old lead singers.
Yeah,
she's an opera singer.
Yeah, but. There we go. So, guys, check those out. Comments are down below. Chris Stapleton and
Rabea Massaad.
The links are down in the description there. Check it out. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And we will see you next time on the next
Song Exchange.